In a distant part of the galaxy, humanity had always been treated as a joke by more advanced alien civilizations. Among these aliens, the Zorethians were the worst offenders. They were tall beings with shimmering metallic skin that glinted like polished silver under starlight. Their sharp eyes and even sharper tongues made them feared across the stars. To them, humans were nothing more than fragile creatures crawling on a tiny blue planet. The Zorethians often laughed at Earth's attempts to join interstellar councils, mocking its outdated technology and what they called pathetic efforts to explore space. On board Earth's secret orbital station, Eclipse, Daniel "Danny" Carter felt the weight of those insults every day. Danny was a young engineer with messy brown hair and a mind full of ideas. He had grown up listening to stories about how humanity had failed time and again in proving itself worthy among the stars. Now he worked alongside some of the brightest minds on Earth, all trying to change that perception. But it wasn't easy. Every time news came in about another alien species dismissing humanity's achievements, Danny couldn't help but feel frustrated. Captain Lisa Monroe, the leader of Eclipse, shared Danny's determination, but carried it with quiet strength. She was a woman in her late 30s with short blonde hair and piercing green eyes. Her voice commanded respect without needing to raise its tone. One morning, she called everyone into the main briefing room. The large screen behind her flickered to life, showing images captured by reconnaissance drones. A fleet of Zorethian ships was moving closer to Earth's borders. They claimed this is a peaceful exploration mission, Captain Monroe said, her lips pressed into a thin line. But we all know better. This is intimidation, pure and simple. The room fell silent. Everyone knew the stakes. If the Zorethians decided to attack, Earth wouldn't stand a chance with its current defenses. Humanity needed something extraordinary if it hoped to survive. Danny sat quietly during the meeting, his fingers tapping nervously against his leg. His thoughts drifted back to an old project file he'd stumbled upon weeks earlier. It was buried deep within Eclipse's classified archives, a program called Project Phoenix. According to the documents, decades ago, humanity had secretly built a massive warship named the Odyssey. Equipped with experimental weapons and cloaking technology far beyond anything available today, it was supposed to be Earth's ultimate trump card. However, the project had been abandoned before completion due to lack of funding and political disagreements. No one knew if the ship still existed or whether it could even function after so many years. After the meeting ended, Danny approached Captain Monroe. "Ma'am," he began hesitantly, "I think I might have found something that could help us." Captain Monroe raised an eyebrow. "What is it?" "It's Project Phoenix," Danny explained quickly. "There's a chance we can reactivate the Odyssey. If it works, we'll have a fighting chance against the Zorethians." For a moment, Captain Monroe didn't say anything. Then she nodded slowly. "Gather your team, Carter. We don't have much time." As Danny hurried off to prepare, he couldn't shake the feeling that everything depended on him now. The fate of Earth rested not just on fancy speeches or diplomatic negotiations, but on finding and activating a long-forgotten relic from humanity's past. Somewhere out there, hidden in the vastness of space, lay their only hope. And Danny knew that failure wasn't an option, not when the entire world was counting on him. Little did he realize, however, that uncovering the Odyssey would lead to discoveries far greater and far more dangerous than anyone could imagine. Danny stood in front of a large screen in the Eclipse's archives, his eyes scanning the faded blueprints of Project Phoenix. He had spent hours poring over every detail, trying to piece together how the Odyssey worked and where it might be hidden. The documents were old, some parts were barely legible, but they hinted at something incredible. According to the files, the ship had been constructed in secret, far from Earth, and then hidden away in an asteroid field on the edge of human-controlled space. Its location was encoded in coordinates buried deep within the archives. Captain Lisa Monroe walked into the room, her boots clicking softly against the metal floor. She crossed her arms and looked at Danny expectantly. "What have you got for me?" she asked. Danny turned to face her. "The ship's location is here," he said, pointing at a set of numbers on the screen. "It's in an asteroid field near the outer rim. If we can get there, we might be able to reactivate it." Monroe frowned. "And if it's not there, or if it doesn't work?" Danny hesitated. "Then we're back to square one. But we don't have any other options, do we?" Monroe sighed but nodded. "All right. You'll lead the mission to find the Odyssey. Take Lieutenant Emily Walsh with you. She's one of our best pilots, and you'll need someone who can navigate that debris field." Danny felt a mix of excitement and dread. He had never led a mission before, let alone one this important. Still, he knew there was no time to second-guess himself. The Zorathian fleet was getting closer every day. A few hours later, Danny and Emily boarded a small transport shuttle. Emily was a tall woman with short, dark hair and a no-nonsense attitude. She wore her flight suit like it was part of her skin, and her sharp brown eyes missed nothing. As she settled into the pilot's seat, she glanced at Danny. "You sure about this?" she asked, her tone casual but probing. "As sure as I can be," Danny replied, clutching a data pad filled with the information he'd gathered. "We don't have a choice." Emily smirked. "Fair enough. Let's go find your ghost ship." The journey to the asteroid field took several hours. As they approached, the view outside the shuttle's windows became chaotic. Thousands of rocks of all sizes floated aimlessly, some spinning wildly while others drifted lazily through space. It was a dangerous place to fly, especially since many of the asteroids were too small to show up on sensors. "This is going to be tricky," Emily muttered, her hands steady on the controls. She maneuvered the shuttle carefully, weaving between larger rocks and avoiding collisions with smaller ones. Danny held onto his seat tightly, his knuckles white, as they passed dangerously close to jagged edges. After what felt like an eternity, the shuttle's sensors pinged. A faint energy signature was detected nearby. Danny checked the readings against the coordinates. "That's it," he exclaimed. "It has to be the Odyssey." Emily guided the shuttle toward the source of the signal. As they rounded a massive asteroid, the ship came into view. It was enormous, easily twice the size of any human vessel Danny had ever seen. Its sleek, black hull blended seamlessly with the darkness of space, making it nearly invisible unless you were right on top of it. Dust and rock covered parts of the surface, but even under layers of grime, the ship looked intimidating. Danny stared at it in awe. "It's real," he whispered. Emily raised an eyebrow. "Let's hope it still works," she said dryly. They landed the shuttle on a platform near the rear of the ship. Stepping out, Danny and Emily were greeted by silence. The airlock door was sealed shut, and the surrounding area was eerily quiet. Danny pulled out a handheld device and began scanning for entry points. After a few minutes, he found a maintenance hatch that seemed accessible. "Here," he said, motioning for Emily to follow. They climbed inside, their footsteps echoing in the empty corridors. The interior was dimly lit by emergency lights, casting long shadows on the walls. Panels lined the hallway, some flickering weakly while others remained dark. Danny led the way to the main control room. He plugged his data pad into a terminal and started running diagnostics. Lines of code scrolled across the screen as the ship's systems slowly woke up. Lights began to brighten, and the hum of machinery filled the air. Emily leaned against a wall, watching him work. "Think it'll fly?" she asked. Danny didn't look up. "I don't know yet, but if it does, we might actually stand a chance." For the first time in days, a glimmer of hope sparked in his chest. Hidden away for decades, the Odyssey was more than just a relic. It was humanity's last hope. And now, it was in their hands. Danny and Emily stood in the dimly lit control room of the Odyssey *, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the ship's awakening systems. The air was thick with dust, and the faint hum of machinery grew louder as more components came online. Danny worked quickly, his fingers flying over the terminal as he tried to bring the ship's core systems back to life. He knew they didn't have much time. The Zorathian fleet was still advancing, and every second counted. Emily watched him closely, her sharp eyes scanning the room for anything unusual. "How's it looking?" she asked, breaking the silence. Danny glanced up briefly. "It's slow, but it's working," he replied. "The power grid is stabilizing, and I'm starting to reactivate the main engines. If we can get them running, we'll know if this thing can actually fly." Emily nodded but didn't say anything. She had seen enough failed missions in her career to know that hope could be a dangerous thing. Still, there was something about the Odyssey its size, its design, the sheer audacity of its existence, that made her believe it might actually work. As the minutes passed, the lights in the control room grew brighter, and the hum of the ship's systems became a steady thrum. Danny let out a small cheer when the main console lit up completely. "Got it," he said, his voice tinged with excitement. "The core is stable. Now we just need to check the weapons and shields." Emily crossed her arms. "And make sure the cloaking device works," she added. "If we're going to take on the Zorathians, we'll need every advantage we can get." Danny nodded and moved to another terminal. He tapped a few commands, and a series of screens displayed information about the ship's armaments. Plasma cannons, quantum shields, and even a prototype teleportation system. All of it was there, waiting to be activated. But it wasn't just the weapons that caught his attention. The ship also had advanced navigation systems, capable of plotting courses through the most treacherous parts of space. "This thing is incredible," Danny muttered, half to himself. "I can't believe they built all this without anyone knowing." Emily smirked. "Desperate times call for desperate measures," she said. "Guess humanity wasn't as helpless as everyone thought." Suddenly, the ship shuddered slightly, causing both of them to grab onto nearby consoles for support. Danny frowned and checked the diagnostics. "That was the inertial dampeners," he explained. "They're kicking in. It means the engines are almost ready." "Good," Emily said, straightening up, "because we're not done yet. We need to test everything before we take this thing into battle." Danny agreed and opened a channel to Eclipse. "Captain Monroe, this is Carter," he said, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. "We've reactivated the Odyssey. Core systems are online, and the engines are warming up. So far, so good." There was a brief pause before Captain Monroe's voice crackled through the speakers. "Excellent work, Carter," she said. "But remember, this isn't just about proving the ship works. It's about making sure it can win. Run every test you can think of. We can't afford any surprises." "We will," Danny promised. He turned back to Emily, who was already heading toward the door. "Where are you going?" "To check the fighter bay," she replied. "If we're going to fight the Zorathians, we'll need backup. Let's see if these old birds can still fly." Danny hesitated for a moment, then followed her. Together, they made their way through the ship, inspecting every corner. The Odyssey was vast, its corridors stretching endlessly in every direction. Along the way, they found storage rooms filled with supplies, living quarters designed for a large crew, and even a medical bay stocked with outdated but functional equipment. By the time they reached the fighter bay, Danny was exhausted but exhilarated. Rows of sleek fighters sat silently, covered in protective tarps. Emily removed one of the tarps, revealing a ship that looked like it could still hold its own in a dogfight. She ran a quick diagnostic and grinned. "These babies are ready to go," she said. "With a little tweaking, they'll be as good as new." As they continued their inspection, Danny couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the brink of something monumental. The Odyssey wasn't just a ship. It was a symbol of humanity's resilience, a testament to what could be achieved when people refused to give up. For the first time, he allowed himself to believe that maybe, just maybe, they could turn the tide against the Zorathians. But deep down, he knew the real test was yet to come. The Odyssey was alive. Its engines roared to life, a deep rumble that echoed through the vast corridors of the ship. Danny and Emily stood on the bridge, their eyes glued to the massive viewport as the asteroid field outside slowly drifted past. The ship's systems were now fully operational, weapons armed, shields calibrated, and cloaking device tested. Everything seemed to be working perfectly, but neither of them could shake the tension in the air. This wasn't just a test run. It was the moment humanity would either rise or fall. Captain Lisa Monroe's voice came over the comms from Eclipse. "Carter, Walsh, how's it looking up there?" she asked, her tone calm but firm. Danny took a deep breath before responding. "All systems are green, Captain," he said, glancing at the control panels around him. "Weapons, shields, propulsion, all functional. The cloaking device is ready, and we've checked the fighters. We're good to go." "Good," Monroe replied. "We've received new intel. The Zorethian fleet has crossed into our outer perimeter. They're moving fast, and they don't look like they're here for peace." Emily tightened her grip on the back of a chair. "They never were," she muttered under her breath. Monroe continued, "I'm sending you coordinates for a rendezvous point near their path. Stay cloaked until I give the order. If this works, we'll catch them off guard." "Understood," Danny said, his voice steady despite the knot forming in his stomach. He turned to Emily. "Let's get this show on the road." Emily nodded and slid into the pilot's seat. Her hands moved confidently over the controls, and within moments, the Odyssey was gliding smoothly out of the asteroid field. The cloaking device activated with a soft hum, rendering the massive ship invisible to both sight and sensors. It was eerie, watching the stars outside without any sign of the ship's presence. As they approached the designated location, Danny couldn't help but feel a mix of fear and excitement. This was it, the moment they had been preparing for. The Zorethians had mocked humanity for so long, dismissing Earth as weak and insignificant. Now they were about to learn just how wrong they were. "Target approaching," Emily announced, her eyes scanning the radar. A cluster of red dots appeared on the screen, growing larger as the alien fleet drew nearer. "They're still heading straight for Earth." Danny clenched his fists. "Not if we have anything to say about it." Captain Monroe's voice crackled over the comms again. "Remember, wait for my signal. Don't engage until I tell you." "Roger that," Danny replied, though his heart was pounding. He watched the radar intently, counting down the seconds until they would reveal themselves. Finally, the order came. "This is Monroe. Uncloak and fire at will." Emily didn't hesitate. With a flick of a switch, the cloaking device deactivated, and the Odyssey materialized in front of the Zorethian fleet like a ghost emerging from the void. For a brief moment, there was silence. Then chaos erupted. The Zorethians scrambled, their ships turning toward the unexpected threat. Danny wasted no time. He targeted one of the lead cruisers and fired the plasma cannons. A bright burst of energy shot out, striking the enemy vessel squarely in its midsection. The cruiser exploded in a dazzling display of light and debris, sending shockwaves through the surrounding ships. "What was that?" Emily exclaimed, her eyes wide as she watched the aftermath. "That's what happens when you mess with us," Danny said, a grin spreading across his face despite the gravity of the situation. The Zorethians recovered quickly, however, and retaliated with a barrage of laser fire. The Odyssey's quantum shields absorbed the hits effortlessly, deflecting the beams harmlessly into space. Emily maneuvered the ship with precision, dodging incoming attacks while keeping the enemy in range. "Keep them busy," Danny instructed, his fingers flying over the console as he coordinated additional attacks. Plasma bolts streaked across the battlefield, taking out more Zorethian ships with each passing second. For the first time in history, humanity wasn't just defending itself, it was fighting back. And the Odyssey was proving to be everything Danny had hoped it would be: powerful, advanced, and unstoppable. But even as the tide began to turn, Danny knew the battle was far from over. The Zorethians weren't going to retreat easily, and their numbers were still overwhelming. Still, for the first time in his life, he felt a spark of hope. Humanity wasn't alone anymore. It had a weapon, and a chance to change its fate. And that thought gave him strength. The Odyssey cut through the chaos of battle like a blade, its sleek form gliding effortlessly between explosions and streaks of enemy fire. Danny sat at one of the control stations on the bridge, his hands moving quickly over the panels as he coordinated attacks. Emily remained at the helm, her focus unshakable, as she guided the massive ship through the fray. The Zorethian fleet was larger than they had anticipated, but the Odyssey's advanced technology gave them an edge. Every shot fired, every maneuver executed, was a testament to humanity's ingenuity and its refusal to back down. Despite their early success, the crew knew they couldn't afford to celebrate yet. The Zorethians were adapting, their ships forming tighter formations to counter the Odyssey's assault. Laser beams and plasma bursts filled the void of space, lighting up the darkness with flashes of destruction. The hum of the ship's shields grew louder as they absorbed hit after hit, the strain beginning to show on the monitors. "We're holding steady," Danny called out, his voice tight with concentration. "But they're not slowing down." Emily gritted her teeth, her fingers gripping the controls tightly. "Then we'll have to make them slow down," she replied sharply. With a sudden twist of the yoke, she sent the Odyssey into a sharp dive, narrowly avoiding a concentrated volley of enemy fire. The move caught the Zorethians off guard, and Danny seized the opportunity to target another cruiser. A well-placed plasma bolt tore through its hull, sending it spiraling out of control. On the radar screen, red dots representing the enemy ships began to dwindle, but there were still too many left. The Zorethian flagship loomed in the distance, its massive frame bristling with weapons. It hung back from the main conflict, directing the smaller vessels like a puppet master pulling strings. Danny frowned as he studied it. That ship was the heart of their fleet. If they could take it out, the rest might fall apart. "Emily, we need to get closer to the flagship," he said, pointing at the screen. "If we can disable it, we might break their formation." She glanced at him, her expression skeptical. "Closer? Are you sure that's a good idea?" "It's our best shot," Danny insisted. "Their smaller ships are swarming us here. If we take out the command center, they'll lose coordination." Emily hesitated for only a moment before nodding. "All right, hold on tight." The Odyssey surged forward, its engines roaring as Emily pushed the throttle to the limit. Plasma bolts streaked past them, some grazing the shields and sending vibrations through the deck. Danny clenched his jaw, his eyes darting between the radar and the viewport. They were almost within range of the flagship when a loud alarm blared throughout the ship. "Shields are weakening," Danny shouted, panic creeping into his voice. "We can't take much more of this." Emily didn't respond, her focus entirely on the task ahead. She zigzagged the Odyssey through the enemy fire, dodging blasts while closing the gap. Finally, they were close enough. Danny activated the experimental teleportation device, a last-ditch effort to turn the tide. He programmed it to transport a series of explosive charges directly onto the flagship's bridge. Teleportation sequence initiated, came the mechanical voice of the ship's eye. A low whirring sound filled the air as energy coursed through the system. Moments later, the charges appeared inside the flagship, detonating in a brilliant flash of light. The explosion ripped through the command center, crippling the vessel and throwing the entire Zorethian fleet into disarray. "What did you just do?" Emily asked, her eyes wide as she watched the flagship list to one side, smoke billowing from its damaged sections. "I gave them something to think about," Danny replied, a mix of relief and disbelief washing over him. Captain Monroe's voice crackled over the comms. "Carter, Walsh, what was that blast?" "Report." Danny leaned toward the communicator. "We took out their flagship, Captain. Their fleet is breaking formation." I think we've got them on the run." Monroe paused for a moment before responding. "Good work. Finish the job." As the remaining Zorathian ships scrambled to retreat, Danny allowed himself a small smile. For the first time in history, humanity had stood toe-to-toe with an advanced alien race, and won. But deep down, he knew this victory was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, and there would be more challenges ahead. Still, for now, they had proven that Earth wasn't a planet to be laughed at anymore. It was a force to be reckoned with. The battlefield was quiet now, the once proud Zorathian fleet reduced to scattered remnants fleeing into the depths of space. The Odyssey floated silently amidst the wreckage, its shields flickering faintly as they recovered from the intense assault. Danny leaned back in his chair, his hands trembling slightly as the adrenaline began to wear off. He glanced at Emily, who sat motionless in the pilot's seat, her eyes fixed on the viewport. Neither of them spoke for a long moment, both trying to process what had just happened. Finally, Emily broke the silence. "Did we really just do that?" she asked, her voice soft, but tinged with disbelief. Danny nodded slowly. "Yeah, I think we did." Captain Lisa Monroe's voice came over the comms again, pulling them back to reality. "Carter, Walsh, status report," she said, her tone calm but firm. "All enemy ships have retreated, Captain," Danny replied, his voice steadier now. "Their flagship is disabled, and their fleet is in disarray. We've secured the area." "Good work," Monroe said, a hint of pride in her voice. "But don't let your guard down. They may regroup and try again." "Understood," Danny said. He turned to Emily. "Let's make sure the ship is ready in case they come back." Emily nodded and began running diagnostics on the engines and weapon systems. The Odyssey had taken a beating during the battle, but its advanced technology had held up remarkably well. Still, they couldn't afford any surprises if the Zorathians decided to retaliate. As Emily worked, Danny opened a channel to broadcast a message to the retreating Zorathian forces. He hesitated for a moment, unsure of what to say. This wasn't just about winning a fight. It was about sending a message to the galaxy. Humanity wasn't weak or helpless anymore. It was a force to be respected. "This is Daniel Carter of the human starship Odyssey *, he began, his voice clear and steady. "To the Zorathian fleet, consider this your only warning. Leave our system immediately, or face complete annihilation. You laughed at us, dismissed us as insignificant, but today you learned the truth. Humanity will not tolerate aggression against our people or our planet. This is your chance to leave peacefully, to not waste it." He ended the transmission and slumped back in his chair, exhaling deeply. Emily glanced at him, a small smirk tugging at the corner of her lips. "Not bad," she said. "Think they'll listen?" "They don't have much choice," Danny replied. "After what we just did, they'd be fools to come back." For a while, the bridge was silent except for the soft hum of the ship's systems. The enormity of what they had accomplished began to sink in. For decades, humanity had been ridiculed and underestimated by more advanced species. Now, in one decisive battle, they had proven themselves capable of standing toe-to-toe with even the most arrogant foes. Captain Monroe's voice interrupted their thoughts. "Carter, Walsh, prepare to return to Eclipse. We'll need to debrief and assess the damage to the Odyssey *. Well done, both of you." "Thank you, Captain," Danny said, relief washing over him. He turned to Emily. "Let's head home." As the Odyssey * turned toward Earth's orbital station, Danny looked out at the stars through the viewport. The galaxy stretched endlessly before him, vast and full of unknown dangers and opportunities. Today, humanity had taken its first real step onto the galactic stage. But Danny knew this was only the beginning. There would be more battles, more challenges, and more species watching closely to see what Earth would do next. Emily noticed his thoughtful expression and raised an eyebrow. "What's on your mind?" she asked. Danny shrugged. "Just thinking about what comes next," he said. "We showed them we can fight. Now we have to show them we can lead." Emily smiled faintly. "One step at a time, Carter. Let's get through today first." As the Odyssey glided through the void, its crew felt a mix of exhaustion and triumph. They had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious. But more importantly, they had given humanity hope, a chance to carve out a place among the stars. And for the first time in history, the laughter of the Zorathians had been replaced with fear. The Odyssey docked smoothly with the orbital station Eclipse, its massive frame dwarfing the smaller vessels nearby. As the airlock hissed open, Danny and Emily stepped out onto the station's deck, greeted by a small crowd of engineers, technicians, and officers. Captain Lisa Monroe stood at the front of the group, her arms crossed, but her expression soft with pride. She nodded at them as they approached. "You two did good," she said simply, her voice carrying both relief and admiration. "Better than good. You've changed everything." Danny shifted uncomfortably under the weight of her praise. He wasn't used to being in the spotlight, especially not after something as monumental as what they had just accomplished. Emily, on the other hand, seemed unfazed. She grinned and gave a casual shrug. "Just doing our jobs, Captain." Monroe raised an eyebrow, but didn't push further. Instead, she gestured for them to follow her into the briefing room. Inside, holographic displays showed images of the battle, the Odyssey's plasma cannons firing, the Zorathian flagship exploding, and the remnants of their fleet retreating into deep space. The sight was surreal, almost like watching a movie rather than reliving real events. "We need to debrief," Monroe began, her tone turning serious. "But first, I want to hear your thoughts. How did the Odyssey perform? Are there any weaknesses we need to address?" Danny hesitated before speaking. "The ship handled better than I expected," he admitted. "Its weapons and shields are incredible, and the cloaking device gave us a huge advantage. But," he paused, glancing at Emily, "we took some heavy hits. The shields held up, but if the Zorathians had more time, or better tactics, they might have overwhelmed us." Emily nodded in agreement. "And let's not forget that teleportation trick," she added. "It worked this time, but it's still experimental. We got lucky. Next time, we might not." Monroe listened carefully, her sharp eyes never leaving theirs. "Understood," she said finally. "We'll analyze the data and make improvements where we can. For now, though, you've given us something invaluable: hope. Humanity has been dismissed for too long. Today, we proved that we're capable of standing our ground." As the meeting continued, Danny found himself reflecting on the broader implications of their victory. The Zorathians weren't just another alien race. They were one of the most powerful and influential species in the galaxy. Their defeat would send shockwaves through interstellar politics, forcing others to rethink their views of humanity. For centuries, Earth had been seen as weak and insignificant. Now, it was clear that humanity had hidden strengths and secrets that could tip the balance of power. Later, as the meeting concluded and the crew dispersed, Danny wandered to one of the observation decks. Through the large windows, he could see the curve of Earth below, its blue oceans and swirling clouds glowing softly in the sunlight. It was a reminder of why they had fought so hard. This planet, fragile yet resilient, was worth protecting. Emily joined him a few minutes later, leaning against the railing beside him. "You look like you're thinking too much again," she teased lightly. Danny chuckled. "Probably. Just trying to wrap my head around everything that's happened." "Don't overthink it," Emily said. "We won. That's all that matters right now. Tomorrow, we'll figure out what comes next." He nodded, appreciating her straightforwardness. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that their victory was only the beginning of something much bigger. The galaxy was vast, filled with countless species, each with their own agendas and fears. Some would see humanity's newfound strength as a threat. Others might view it as an opportunity to form alliances. Either way, Earth was no longer invisible. It was a player on the galactic stage. "What do you think will happen now?" Danny asked quietly. Emily shrugged. "Hard to say. Maybe the Zorathians will leave us alone. Or maybe they'll come back with reinforcements. Either way, we'll deal with it." Her confidence was reassuring, but Danny knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Humanity had taken its first step toward earning respect among the stars. But maintaining that respect would require more than just one victory. It would take courage, strategy, and unity. For now, though, he allowed himself a moment of quiet satisfaction. They had faced impossible odds and emerged triumphant. And as he gazed out at the endless expanse of space, he felt a spark of determination ignite within him. Whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity was ready to face them together. News of humanity's victory spread faster than anyone expected. Within hours, reports of the battle reached distant corners of the galaxy, carried by trade routes, diplomatic channels, and even intercepted Zorathian communications. At first, many species dismissed the stories as exaggerations or outright lies. How could a supposedly primitive race like humanity defeat the mighty Zorathians? But as more details emerged, skepticism turned to curiosity, and curiosity gave way to awe. Back aboard Eclipse, Captain Lisa Monroe stood in the station's main control room, watching as streams of data poured in from across the galaxy. Representatives from various alien civilizations had begun contacting Earth, some cautiously, others eagerly. Humanity's triumph wasn't just a military achievement, it was a statement. For decades, Earth had been seen as weak and irrelevant. Now it had proven itself capable of defending its borders, and doing so with technology far beyond what anyone had anticipated. "This changes everything," Monroe muttered to herself, her eyes scanning the incoming messages. She turned to Danny, who sat nearby reviewing technical updates on the Odyssey *. "What do you think about all this attention?" Danny looked up, his expression thoughtful. "It's overwhelming," he admitted. "I mean, we didn't do this for fame or recognition. We just wanted to protect Earth." Monroe nodded. "True, but actions have consequences, whether we intend them or not. The galaxy is watching us now. What we do next matters." As if on cue, Lieutenant Emily Walsh entered the room, holding a tablet. "We've got another message," she said, handing it to Monroe. "This one's from the Valens. They're offering to send a delegation to discuss trade agreements." "The Valens?" Danny asked, surprised. The Valens were known for their advanced biotechnology and strict neutrality in galactic conflicts. If they were reaching out, it meant something significant. "Exactly," Monroe said, her lips curling into a faint smile. "They see potential in us, not just as warriors, but as partners." Over the next few days, similar messages arrived from other species. Some sought alliances, hoping to benefit from humanity's unexpected rise. Others expressed cautious admiration, while a few sent thinly veiled warnings, urging Earth to use its newfound power wisely. It was clear that humanity's victory had shifted the balance of power in ways no one could have predicted. Meanwhile, work continued on the Odyssey *. Engineers swarmed over the ship, repairing damage from the battle and fine-tuning its systems. Danny spent most of his time overseeing these efforts, ensuring the vessel remained combat-ready. Despite the chaos surrounding him, he found comfort in the familiar rhythm of problem-solving and innovation. One evening, as he walked through the ship's corridors, he encountered Emily inspecting the fighter bay. She glanced up at him and smirked. "Still tinkering, huh? Someone has to make sure this thing doesn't fall apart," Danny replied with a grin. "Besides, I don't trust anyone else to get it right." Emily laughed softly. "Fair enough. But you should take a break sometime. You've earned it." Danny hesitated, then nodded. "Maybe later. Right now, I need to finish running diagnostics on the teleportation system. It saved our lives during the battle, but we can't rely on luck forever." Emily sobered slightly. "You're right. Still, don't forget to look around once in a while. This is history in the making, Carter. Not everyone gets to be part of something like this." Her words lingered in his mind long after she left. As much as he enjoyed working on the Odyssey he knew she was right. Humanity had crossed a threshold, stepping out of the shadows and onto the galactic stage. The question now was how to navigate this new reality. Captain Monroe addressed the crew during a routine meeting, her voice steady but filled with purpose. "Our victory against the Zorathians has opened doors we never thought possible," she began. "But let me be clear, this isn't the end. It's the beginning. We've shown the galaxy that humanity is strong, resourceful, and united. Now we must decide how to move forward." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We have a choice: to isolate ourselves or to step boldly into the unknown, to build connections, forge alliances, and show the universe that Earth is not just a planet worth respecting, but one worth partnering with." The room fell silent, the weight of her words hanging in the air. Danny felt a surge of determination. They had fought hard to earn their place among the stars. Now it was time to prove they deserved it. For the first time, humanity wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. And as the galaxy watched, Earth prepared to write its next chapter. Weeks passed, and life aboard Eclipse settled into a new rhythm. The initial rush of victory had faded, replaced by the sobering reality of what came next. Humanity's triumph over the Zorathians had earned it respect, but also scrutiny. Every decision mattered now, every action under the watchful eyes of countless alien species. For Danny, Emily, and the rest of the crew, the pressure was constant, but so was the sense of purpose. Captain Lisa Monroe called another meeting in the briefing room, this time with a larger group of officers and engineers. Holographic displays showed maps of nearby star systems, marked with symbols indicating which species had reached out to Earth. Some were allies, others potential threats, and a few remained enigmatic, their intentions unclear. "We've been invited to attend a summit," Monroe announced, her voice calm but commanding. "It's being hosted by the Valens, and representatives from several major species will be there. This is our chance to establish formal relations and to show that humanity isn't just a one-hit wonder." Danny leaned forward, his curiosity piqued. "What do they want from us?" he asked. "Trade? Technology?" "Both, and more," Monroe replied. "They're interested in our ingenuity, how we managed to build the Odyssey without anyone noticing. But they're also testing us. They want to see if we can handle ourselves diplomatically, not just militarily." Emily raised an eyebrow. "So we're walking into a room full of aliens who either admire us or think we're dangerous. Sounds fun." Monroe smirked. "Exactly. Which is why I'll be leading the delegation. Carter, you'll come along to answer technical questions about the Odyssey. Walsh, you'll stay here and oversee operations in case anything goes wrong." Danny felt a mix of excitement and nerves. He wasn't used to being in the spotlight, especially not in front of alien dignitaries. Still, he understood the importance of the mission. Humanity's future depended on making a good impression. Preparations for the summit took days. Engineers worked tirelessly to ensure the Odyssey was ready for any eventuality, while diplomats practiced speeches and protocols. Danny spent hours reviewing schematics and data, preparing to explain the ship's technology without revealing too much. It was a delicate balance, but one he knew was crucial. Finally, the day arrived. The Odyssey uncloaked near the designated meeting point, a massive space station orbiting a neutral planet. Its sleek design drew stares from nearby ships as it docked, its presence a silent reminder of humanity's capabilities. Inside the station, the atmosphere was tense but cordial. Representatives from various species gathered in a grand hall, their forms ranging from humanoid to utterly alien. Danny stayed close to Captain Monroe, his hands clasped tightly behind his back as she greeted the delegates. The Valen ambassador stepped forward first, their elongated limbs moving gracefully. "Welcome, humans," they said, their voice melodic yet firm. "Your recent actions have sparked great interest. Tell us, what drags your kind?" Monroe met their gaze steadily. "Survival," she said simply. "And hope. We fight not to conquer, but to protect, to build, to learn." Her words seemed to resonate, drawing murmurs of approval from some of the attendees. Danny watched closely, noting how each species reacted. Some appeared intrigued, others skeptical, but none openly hostile. As the discussions continued, Danny found himself fielding questions about the Odyssey **. He spoke carefully, emphasizing humanity's creativity and determination rather than raw power. His explanations earned nods of respect, even from those who had initially doubted Earth's worth. By the end of the summit, agreements had been made: trade deals, non-aggression pacts, and promises of mutual aid. Humanity had taken its first real step toward becoming part of the galactic community. Back aboard the Odyssey **, Emily greeted them with a grin. "How'd it go?" she asked. Monroe smiled faintly. "Better than expected. We've made allies, and shown the galaxy that we're here to stay." Danny nodded, feeling a quiet pride settle over him. They had faced war and won. Now, they were learning to navigate peace. It wouldn't always be easy, but for the first time, humanity wasn't alone among the stars. And that thought gave him hope. Months passed, and humanity's place in the galaxy began to solidify. The summit had been a turning point, opening doors that had once seemed impossibly out of reach. Trade routes were established, resources flowed into Earth's orbit, and new technologies exchanged hands. But more importantly, humanity had earned something even greater: respect. No longer dismissed as weak or insignificant, Earth was now seen as a rising power, a species capable of both strength and wisdom. On board Eclipse, life had changed dramatically. The station buzzed with activity as diplomats from various alien races arrived to negotiate treaties and partnerships. Engineers worked tirelessly to integrate new advancements into the Odyssey **, ensuring it remained at the cutting edge of galactic technology. Danny spent most of his days overseeing these upgrades, his mind constantly racing with ideas for improvements. Emily, meanwhile, led training exercises for the fighter pilots, preparing them for whatever challenges lay ahead. Captain Lisa Monroe stood on the observation deck one evening, gazing out at the stars. Her expression was calm but thoughtful, her green eyes reflecting the distant glow of Earth below. Danny approached quietly, unsure if she wanted company. "You did good, Captain," he said softly, breaking the silence. Monroe glanced at him and smiled faintly. "We all did, Carter. This wasn't just my victory, it was humanity's." Danny nodded, leaning against the railing beside her. "Still, you've kept us together through everything. I don't think we'd be here without you." Monroe chuckled lightly. "Let's not get too sentimental. There's still a lot of work to do." She was right. While the Zorathians had retreated, their defeat hadn't erased the dangers lurking in the galaxy. Other species watched Earth closely, some with admiration, others with suspicion. Humanity's rise had disrupted the delicate balance of power, and tensions simmered beneath the surface. The crew of Eclipse knew they couldn't afford to grow complacent. One afternoon, Emily joined Danny in the engineering bay, where he was fine-tuning the Odyssey **'s cloaking device. "You know," she said casually, "we've come a long way since that first day." Danny looked up, wiping grease-streaked hands on a rag. "Yeah, we have. Feels like another lifetime sometimes." Emily smirked. "Tell me about it. Remember when we thought finding the Odyssey ** was impossible? Now look at us. Diplomats, warriors, engineers. Who would have guessed?" Danny laughed. "Not me. That's for sure." They shared a moment of quiet reflection, the hum of machinery filling the space between them. Finally, Emily spoke again. "What's next for us, do you think? Where does humanity go from here?" Danny shrugged. "I don't know. but I think we're ready for whatever comes. We've proven we can fight, build, and adapt. That's what got us this far. Back aboard the Odyssey the ship patrolled the outer edges of Earth's solar system, its presence a silent deterrent against potential threats. From its bridge, Danny and Emily watched as the stars stretched endlessly before them. The galaxy was vast, filled with mysteries and dangers, but also opportunities. Captain Monroe joined them briefly, her tone resolute. "This is just the beginning," she said. "The universe is bigger than we ever imagined, and humanity has only scratched the surface. But we've shown we belong here. And no matter what happens next, we'll face it together." As the Odyssey glided through the void, its crew felt a mix of pride and determination. They had fought hard to earn their place among the stars, and they weren't about to let it slip away. For the first time in history, humanity was part of something greater, a community of species exploring the cosmos side by side. The laughter of the Zorethians and the ridicule of countless others was now a distant memory. In its place stood admiration, respect, and even friendship. Humanity had risen from the shadows, proving itself not just as survivors, but as pioneers. And though the road ahead was uncertain, one thing was clear: the stars were no longer out of reach.